Every 68 seconds, someone in the United States is sexually assaulted, but only 25 of every 1,000 offenders will end up in prison. Those chilling statistics from RAIN, the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network. Tonight, during Sexual Assault Awareness Month, we're having a conversation about what we can do about this and how we can help victims. I'm joined now by Brenda Tracy, a survivor of sexual assault and the founder of Set the Expectation, an organization dedicated to ending sexual and domestic violence. Brenda, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, yes, for sure, because we really want to talk to you about what you've been through and what you're doing now. To be a survivor, to go through such pain so deep that you thought about suicide once, but then a nurse saved your life, as you tell it, and you're a nurse now. That's a beautiful part of your story. And you work very hard now to spread awareness. Can you share what happened to you, the horrible part of your story with our viewers, and how this crime caused you to start your program, Set the Expectation?
Yeah, I mean, I'll try to keep it short, but in 1998, as a young woman, I was sexually assaulted by 4 college football players. And at the time, I tried to do everything that a good victim is supposed to do. I went to the hospital, I got a rape kit done, I went to the police, I did everything right. But the backlash was pretty terrible, and the charges ended up getting dropped. And then I just tried to move on with my life. But it's difficult. I dealt with, for the next 16 years, I dealt with PTSD and suicidal ideation, disordered eating, depression, a lot of mental health stuff, like a lot of survivors do. And then in 2014, I decided to share my story publicly. And from that point, I dedicated my life to trying to engage people to understand what happens with survivors, understand the dynamics of sexual violence and domestic violence, and how we can all work together in our communities to make sure it's stopped.
Yeah, talk about the courage it took to share your story and what that meant to you as far as helping you heal.
Well, the interesting thing is that a lot of survivors live a double life. The shame that surrounds these crimes and what happens to us, which is not any of our fault. But there's so much shame and stigma and silence that you begin to live a double life. So I definitely had a life that was kind of public facing, and I went to school and I took care of my kids. And then I had a life kind of behind the scenes that was full of depression and just wanting to die. And so being able to share my story publicly, I basically became one person in that moment. I wasn't just, Brenda Tracy, a nurse and a single mom, but I was also a rape survivor. And I was really able to just kind of own that part about me and decide that I'm not going to be ashamed of it anymore. I didn't do anything wrong, so I have nothing to be ashamed of.
Exactly. I've read a lot of books on this, and when people hide the story, that kind of doesn't help them move on. That protects the person who did it more so than owning it and working through it. And you share your story with people across the country, and it includes men.
Yes.
Talk about the reactions that you get. And you include men because you say directly this is a man's issue, and men are also the solution.
Yes. I believe that we can't talk about men as only the problem. We have to also talk about them as a solution. And I say that because I know that if women alone could solve this issue, we would have already done it. If any community most affected by sexual violence could fix it, they would have already done it. So most sexual violence is committed by men, but most men don't commit sexual violence. And so really, this is a men's issue. They have to get involved. And so I go to them and I ask them to align themselves with people like me, organizations doing the work, have conversations with each other. Let's figure this out. Because it's a small portion of our population committing these crimes. There's more good people than not.
Yes.
So how do we all create communities where these perpetrators, one, are not safe to commit these crimes, survivors are believed, supported, and perpetrators are held accountable?
Well, you were attacked by, as I understand it, college athletes. And in just the past week, you're having a lot of impact because the University of Virginia's College at Wise became the second institution to adopt the Tracy Rule, named after you, which requires background checks for athletes and bans those found responsible of sexual assault or violence from participating in varsity sports. That's huge. Talk more about the strong message this rule sends and how it makes you feel that your voice helped create this.
I'm very excited about it. I feel like there should be more schools that have the rule, though. I think a lot of people, what they don't understand is that in NCAA sports, grades are monitored closely, and you can lose your eligibility over a bad grade, but you're not going to lose your eligibility if you commit an act of sexual violence. So gender-based violence is not an NCAA violation, and I believe that it should. I think that playing sports is a privilege, and if you harm someone, if you're convicted in a court of law, if you're found responsible on a campus, then you should lose your eligibility. And so that's what the Tracy Rule does. And yes, UVA-wise, second to University of Texas San Antonio, was the second school to adopt the rule. And I have a call to discuss it with the University of Washington tomorrow, and I'm excited. I'm going to keep pushing for accountability.
Yeah, because you are succeeding. And where can people find you or reach out to you, or where would you want to point people to who want to support this effort?
So settheexpectation.org is where the nonprofit is, and then also Set the Expectation is our handles. Brenda Tracy 24, my personal handles on Twitter and Instagram. But yeah, if you could go to settheexpectation.org, check out what we're doing. You don't have to be involved in just sport. Anybody can get involved. We have pledge signings, we have events. There's some fundraisers going on right now with Solid Core and some fraternities, and we do a lot of stuff, and we're excited to connect with people and figure out how to spread the message.
Well, we're very honored that we got to talk with you and hear you tell your story. I'm sure it really resonates with a lot of people watching right now. Brenda Tracy, survivor and founder of Set the Expectation. Thanks so much. We wish you all the best.
Thank you.